Hello, authors and readers alike. Welcome to another featured author interview. And we are now streaming live in our Readers Magnet YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed yet, kindly do so that you will be notified with the latest happenings here with Readers Magnet. And I'm your host, Red Sanchez. And joining us today that will tell us more about his book, Mr. Mark A. Handy, and he's the author of the book that we're going to be talking about, which is the Freedom Lost. And probably the best way to start this interview, Mark, is that can you somehow introduce yourself a little bit to our audience for today?
Certainly. The easiest way to describe my upbringing is my father was career military. So I like to say I was raised in the Western Hemisphere, uh, everywhere from Georgia to Chicago, Western Germany. We moved around a lot. Um, Ended up in Chicago going to high school, and that made a very big impression on me. After that, uh, my dad got assigned out to Arizona out here. I came out to help out with the family, and I never looked back. It was like I came home. I love the countryside. I love everything about Arizona. And then I went in the military and served in the 82nd Airborne and moved around there a bit as well. And especially when I was in Italy, I started seeing a lot of things living in a foreign country that made me appreciate the freedoms that we have here in the United States.
Wow. Absolutely. I would agree with you, Mark, with that. That's, I guess, what we're going to be talking about today, which is the Freedom Lost. But how did you come up with the title of the book? It kind of intrigues me as well.
Um, it's kind of a throwback to Dante's Paradise Lost. That's already been used, so you can't use Paradise. And
Right,
this is,
exactly.
the core of the story was about what would happen if we lost our freedoms. So it just kind of fell into place.
Did someone like give you another like recommendation? Because I'm not saying that the title is bad, but sometimes we have some friends that may say like, oh, I don't like the title. It's not good. Did that happen somehow?
I did get feedback as I was writing it, and this was an extended period of time that I was writing it. I did bounce it off of folks, mostly my parents. They were very instrumental in helping me with the book, but it all came back to this one.
Well, I guess, this is still going to be an intriguing, or an interesting title though, because that makes you wonder what's really the book is all about. With the word itself, freedom, that's what we have right now. We have the freedom to speak, to act, what is needed or what is right. We have basically our own choice, or freedom of choice right now, which is really great, and not many countries have that. So I guess with this book, Freedom Lost, we can drive a lot of Americans to really read and understand that freedom and what you guys fought for, way back, like during the World War II thing. It's something worth it, and we need to somehow just accept the fact, or be happy rather, that we have this kind of freedom right now. But what inspires you though to really or like the whole idea of your books? What really, how it all started, you know
Well, where it started was a long time ago when Bill Clinton signed the Brady Law into with a was the first really major gun control in a long time. And there was something else that made me take a look at FEMA, the Federal Emergency Maintenance, and I started researching that, and I found things in FEMA that really scared me. And I just put it all together. What happens if renegade president decides to abuse power. And there's a lot more to it. You know, you got the dark government. They help this guy get into power, but I, there was that. And then I've always thought about everybody assumes that they can do what they, like you say, you speak, act. It's
Mm,
their right. They can do what they want with little or no repercussions. And what would happen to the American people, the everyday people, if that was taken away? You couldn't stand up and say, "Hey, I don't like the government," without getting shot.
true.
Well, basically, what would happen if you lived in communist China?
That's that's true. Well, it's been happening in some other places. It's really sad that we tend to kind of overuse the word freedom and or I don't know, like misunderstood rather, and somehow it tends to or it kind of ends to violence at some point. So it's really sad. But when it comes to like writing this book, Mark, did you encounter any challenges or what's the most difficult part in writing this book?
The most difficult part was getting started. Uh, I had a bit started in the first chapter, and I just hit a wall. Couldn't get past. It's hard to
Writer's
have
block.
dialogue in your head. I mean, some people can, but they're also in therapy. So
Mm,
I had a friend of mine, who I talked to him about what I was doing, and we sat and we just acted out the scene, which was two guys playing darts in a bar.
okay.
And well, we played darts. I'm an avid dart thrower. I'm not good, but I enjoy it. And we just acted it out, and I wrote down the dialogue, and that got me through that first hurdle. There were others, but they weren't as bad. I was able to muddle through them. But once I got through that, it just came together in my head.
Wow. So that's how you basically overcome what they called writer's block situation, which is really interesting as well, because not many authors actually do that. When that happens, sometimes they get stuck for like a month or sometimes even a year to finish the first chapter or let's say the next chapter because they tend to like not know anymore how to like continue or to
Hmm.
to end that chapter, which is really a great technique as well right there. But for example, I check your book online, for example in Amazon, and pretty much you have such a good rating as well from your readers, most likely 4 star, 5 stars rating. And my only question here for you is that how would you process or let's just say deal with those negative book reviews or feedback from your readers when that happens?
uh, I encourage feedback, positive or negative. You can't learn if you don't look at what people think. And I'm glad that most of it's positive. The negative, I take because it could be valid. In their minds, it's definitely valid, but
Mm,
I need to evaluate whether it's valid in my world and how I'm approaching the book. And unfortunately, a lot of the negative is from people who associate political values to things. There are no political parties in this book. Whoever reads this book could put anybody that they wanted to in the position of the bad guy, the president, Republican, Democrat. In my world, in my mind, either party could be guilty of this. It's a human thing, not a political thing. Who's willing to sink to that level to take over the country as he did and to maintain it in such a cold manner? So the
right.
negative is appreciated. I definitely like it, and
Mm,
I look at it, I consider it, uh, and the ones that are not political, I actually give credit to. But people who say, "Well, you're writing about Obama or whatever," I just that's gone. I mean, I'm not. I wasn't. It's not the point of the story. It's about how people would react.
Right. And that's really how our audiences or readers sometimes tends to responds to a specific content or a book, because they just somehow probably misunderstood the point
Hmm.
of your the whole story. But most readers find your book really interesting, action packed. So I guess this is going to be a great content for maybe a movie adaptation, Netflix, something like that. Yeah, it can
I'm
happen. There's a
told
lot
that,
of,
yes.
yeah, like there's a lot of um series right now in Netflix, for example, that sometimes they're, I would say, the word boring. You don't know what's going on. It's like all over. It's pointless at some point. Like you get lost really with the whole storyline of what they're trying to do in there. But most of your readers find your book really well written. So I guess if there's anybody out there that would like to translate a book into a movie, I guess this is pretty much the best, or one of the best choice that you can actually find out there. But I was just wondering if you have a copy of that book right now, Mark.
Yes, I do.
So oh wow, it's
Let's
way
get-
better than in the picture in Amazon.
Can you see
Ooh,
that okay, or should I move it
yeah.
closer?
Oh, that's good. That's pretty good shot
Yeah.
right there.
Can't cover up my
Yeah.
name. That's at the bottom there.
That's all right. Well, they can
Gotta hide
find your
it.
name though. Right. So, like, how did you? Whose idea is this cover? Like, did you send them a pictures, or did you hire a designer for this one?
For the cover?
Yeah.
No. Um, Page Publishing handled my book, and when it came to be the publishing time, when we had gotten through the editing process, they were talking about what I wanted for the cover, and I just gave it to them very simple. I want to see
Mm.
a copy of the Constitution that has
Mm.
been, weather beaten, burned edges. It's been
Right.
through hell, and they came up with that. Oh, I also told them I wanted like a sepia tone, giving it that uh,
Mm.
uh, faded look. And that's what they came up with, and there was no second try. They hit it first nail. I mean, first time.
Wow.
It was perfect.
That's
Yeah, they
great.
did really well.
I'm Well, I'm glad. Well, credits to your publisher in doing such a great job with the cover, because cover is pretty much one of the most important you know part of the book. That's the
Yeah.
first thing that readers get to see in a bookshelves. So, for those who are actually writing, or just probably beginning writing books right now, what would be your, how do I say that, maybe an advice to them, because they might be having trouble in finishing their book. What is your, like, an advice that can help them to finish, or to continue, or move forward with their writing?
Well, as far as getting started, uh, it's been said and beaten to death, but it's true. Write about what you know. Um, if you want to write about something that you don't know, you've got a lot of research that you need to do because you have to come across as informed. Otherwise, anybody that knows that subject is going to see right through you, and you're not going to get anywhere with them. So I write about what I know. I've been writing for a long time. In college, I minored in in writing, creative writing. Uh,
Okay.
Started with short stories. I still write short stories. I like them. The novel just kind of came into being. There's a sequel underway. It's actually in its final form going to have 3 books to it. But first one first. Let's get this one going.
Right, right. Well, anyway, I just also, discovered that there's different characters in this book. How did you come up with that? Like, do- are they like a real life person? Then you just, somehow create a nickname for them, something like that?
Um, well, there's basically 2 storylines. There's the previous, the history of when the militia was resisting the overthrow. A lot of the people in that were based on my friends that I camp with, hunt with, get together with. Um, some of them didn't mind. Other ones were not overly thrilled that I had done that because I didn't ask them. Um, then beyond that, the people in the actual story that's would be like you say in current time, I created those out of my mind. I rode in cabs in Chicago, and
Mm.
uh, I didn't get to know cabbies, but you interact with them. Cabbies just
Right.
love to talk. So
Yes,
the
that's true.
cabbies were a compilation of several cab drivers that I had ridden with in Chicago. Um, Basically, yeah, it's you do what you have to create the character. If you have somebody in your life that's similar to it, use them as a guideline, but you don't mold it exactly like that person. You give it changes
Mm.
and
Mm.
ask the person if you can do that.
But how do you like answer for or like react with those like doesn't want to give out any information? For example, if the character is like a policeman, you know, if you will ask like how would you handle a certain case like this, and that guy, you know, pretty much ignore you, do you like continue like asking him some other questions or route him in a different topic, or you just basically try to find a different guy that can possibly give you, you know, an information on how to handle this kind of scene.
Well, if and it sounds like you're talking about a reluctant source here.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, I would first of all ask them why they're reluctant. Do you have the problem with my storyline, the questioning? And
Mm,
if they just have a reasoning, whether it's valid or invalid, you respect
mm,
that, and you come up with another source.
that's right. Well, you know, I the reason I want to ask you that because somehow some other authors out there they tend to stick with one source, and at the same time that kind of like burned them a little bit, like the source,
Hmm.
you know, and they couldn't really get what they wanted, so everything kind of stops, like the book writing, the whole storyline. It's not like gonna continue without that information that you're looking for. So that's why I want to ask you. But I guess it's really obvious. Like, you know, if you think that you can't find the answer from this guy, try to find a different guy. You know,
Hmm.
that's I guess how simple it is. But any plans of writing some like a sequel maybe of this one, Mark?
Yeah, the sequel is in works. It's about maybe a quarter of the way done, third of the way done. I work on it when I can. Basically, it continues.
Okay.
It continues the storyline. Now, the next book is not going to have the same uh, ignorance of politics because you get into the
Mm,
background of characters, and specifically the villain in it, President Lording. The book goes back into time and finds out how he was able to create the opportunity for this, to get into the White House and make it all happen. So all the people who read my book and they're not happy with it because they feel like I've made political statements, don't read the next one because that will really piss you off.
well,
Because
you know.
you have to, if you're going to tell a story with any detail, with any validity, at some point you have to pick a side. And what I do with that character in particular, it shows his desperation for power, what he's willing to do.
And well, for those actually that were watching us live right now, you can also go to Amazon.com or to BarnesandNoble.com. You can check Mark's website. It's in the screen right now. It's azshadowrider.com. You can check that out. You can find his book in his website, and probably his second book in the future. But my last question for you today, Mark, what do you think the readers can get or learn rather from your book?
Well, if they have an imagination, this will prompt them to think about a world without the Constitution, without the freedoms that they take for granted. A what if situation. Everybody likes getting up on their soapbox and beating the drum for their particular topic.
Mm.
Uh, what happens if you can't do that anymore? We're a very young country in the world history scheme of things, and there's never been one like us. And for people to take it for granted, to me, I feel is an abuse. So I'm trying to make people think about, if you're, you know, if you're gay or you're a pacifist, anti-gun, if you don't have the right to stand up and speak your mind, how would you like that? What would you do to get it back?
Wow, that's really interesting, Mark. And I guess, I would probably ask the same question to myself if that happens. Things are going crazy right now around the world, and I guess it can
Yeah.
possibly happen. I mean, this is not about politics or something, but it's pretty obvious. It's out there. It's showing.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us might be just kind of like blinded with what's going on around us, but there's so many things that is happening, and it's really um you just have to open up your eyes, open your eyes and mind, and understand what's going on out there, and you'll know that in probably in 10 or I don't know, like maybe 100 years from now, um, that can possibly happen. Freedom lost, which is hopefully, Mark, we can read more of this kind of book in the future. Maybe a sequel of this. We will definitely look forward for that one. But thank you so much, Mark, for giving us an opportunity to also share your book to everyone. Any message to your readers before we go?
Thanks for the comments. Keep the comments coming in. I love feedback on the website. Um, and get ready for the next one.
All right. Well, there you go, guys. Mark Handy is the author of the book Freedom Lost, and you can check that out in Amazon and Barnes and Noble. If you are in the UK or different parts of the world, all you gotta do is type in Mark A. Handy and Freedom Lost, which is the title of the book, and you should have the option to buy that in your local online, shop or website. And yeah, just check him out. You're gonna enjoy this book. You're gonna enjoy about how he was able to create the whole storyline. So thank you again, Mark, for giving us this wonderful opportunity.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And as we say here with Readers Magnet, we share your story with the world. Goodbye.
Bye.